Welcome to a very special edition of Cat Chat. Today, I have Tina, a college admissions specialist, and we'll be taking questions from our viewers about the main common app essay. Do you need advice? Call us now. Any general tips first?
College admissions is very competitive, and most colleges aim to create a diverse class of students who will excel in their specific fields. Use the essay to strengthen your application. Show aspects of your personality and experience that wouldn't appear in the rest of your application. Use the essay to make your whole application make sense.
Sounds like good advice. Okay, we have our first caller. Cleopatra is from Alabama, and she wants advice about her main college essay.
For my first 2 years, I lived with dogs and a family that didn't love me. They dropped me off at a shelter because they didn't want me anymore. I had tapeworms, ringworm, and was missing half my coat of fur, and I was skinny. I stayed in a cage there for a month. I didn't feel like eating, so I got even skinnier. You could see my ribs, and my face was really angular and scary looking.
Wow, that sounds intense.
Yes, a woman showed up one day and was looking at some other cats in cages next to me. A man who worked at the shelter asked her if she would take me. The woman looked at me and said I frightened her. Then the man said that I was going to be killed the next day if nobody took me home. So the next thing I know, I'm in this woman's car. We went to her house.
That was a close call with death for you. What did you learn from the experience? How did you grow and show your resilience?
I had a lot of anxiety. I worked through it by ripping up carpet and yowling from about midnight until 3 every morning. But I liked the woman and I was happy to be out of my cage. I started eating every day. I gained weight so I wasn't so scary looking anymore, and my fur started to grow back.
Let's think about how we can turn your story into an essay that shows the admissions officers that you're ready to be very successful in college.
I just thought I would tell the story, and then put a sentence at the end to say how it shows my resilience.
You'll need more than that for the reader to know that you're resilient. College admissions is not a contest to see who has suffered the most. There will always be another applicant that had it harder than you did. What have you done recently? What do you plan to do in college?
I've been studying ornithology, and I think that's what I want to major in.
Let's dig into that interest a little more. I want to make a very important point here. College admissions staff admit students whose applications strongly suggest that they will be successful in college. It's a great idea to use the essay to convince the admissions officers that you are excited about your field of study, prepared to pursue it, and sure to succeed.
Let's repeat that point. Use your essay to show that you are motivated, prepared, and certain to succeed in college.
The admissions team does not want to gamble on students who may be at risk of failing, dropping out, having nervous breakdowns, or becoming problems for the college. With so many applicants, a college can choose the students who seem like the safest bets to succeed and become alumni who will represent the college well.
But I've heard that it's important to emphasize trauma and show that you've overcome hardship.
No. It's simply not true that admissions officers are looking for the most traumatized students. Nobody has asked students to trauma dump. Now, if you have experienced real hardship, such as a life-threatening illness or injury, time in foster care, homelessness, or the death of a parent or sibling, then you can certainly include that important part of your personal story in your essay since it has shaped who you are.
Can students just write about their hardship, or do they need to move past it in their essay?
Try to focus on how the experience helped you grow, influenced your interests, or led you to show compassion for others in a similar situation. For instance, I read a great essay about a student who fought childhood cancer, spent months in children's hospitals as a kid, and then started a club in high school to visit children's hospitals and write letters and cards to patients. She then connected these experiences to her interest in majoring in healthcare administration.
Okay, that makes sense.
I strongly advise students not to discuss mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. For most colleges, writing about this problem will red flag your application.
Why? Isn't it important to be honest about mental health issues and stop shaming people for them?
Nobody should be ashamed about mental health problems, but a college application essay is simply not the place to discuss them. Colleges typically do not have great mental health facilities on campus. At many schools, counseling appointments are booked out weeks or even months in advance. So if a student has a mental health crisis, the only option is the local emergency room.
I think I see what you're saying. So the admissions officers know that if a student has struggled with mental health, then college might not be a safe place for them. The student will be far away from the support of family, friends, and healthcare professionals they've seen in the past. So the admissions team would be afraid of setting the student up for a serious crisis.
Yes. And no admissions officer wants to take on the responsibility of admitting a student who admits to having mental health problems, even if they seem to be resolved. What if the student comes to campus and has a crisis? It's bad for the college, and even worse for the student.
Okay, so steer clear of mental health as a topic of your essay.
Back to me, please. How should I write my essay?
Well, you can start with a summary of the story you've already told us. Then connect it to your interest in ornithology. Mention that as you adapted to your new life at the woman's house, you became fascinated by the birds outside the window. Explain how you spent time observing and then researching bird behavior.
I did do that.
Then move to why you want to study birds in college and what you hope to achieve after you graduate. Give the reader an idea of how you want to contribute to society.
So she can include the story of how she overcame hardship, but also let the reader know that she will succeed in her field of interest because she's motivated and prepared.
Right, and it shows that she has moved on from the adolescent stage of self-absorption and is ready to think about others and contribute as an adult.
Good luck, Cleopatra. Our next caller is Chloe, also from Alabama.
Hi. Well, as you can see, I've had my ear tip cut off as part of a trap-neuter-release program for feral cats. But I'm not actually feral. I love people. A lot. So I live a totally indoor life full of luxury. But I will always have this feral identity because of my ear. When I go to the vet or meet someone new, they see my ear and assume I'm going to attack or bite them. But I just want them to pet me.
I think it would be great to tell your story with some humor. Make it funny.
I bet people who read essays all day appreciate the occasional funny one, right?
Of course. I always say that if you can make your essay funny and fun to read, it will make your application more memorable and might make the reader like you just a little bit more.
Also, I think that if you're talking about something serious that happened to you, but you make it funny, you're showing that you have a more adult perspective on it now.
Right. You're not being dramatic about it. And you're showing that you've dealt with it so well that you can have a laugh at yourself. That's maturity.
Okay, I would love to make it funny. Any suggestions?
Maybe start with a scene at the vet.
The vet entered the room with a big smile, and my heart leapt. I was about to make a new friend. Suddenly, I saw her stare at my ear tip. She froze, turned around and exited the room quickly.
I waited for what seemed like an eternity before the door finally opened again. In walked the vet, this time wearing a full suit of armor. I panicked. Where was the mountain lion? Didn't I need protection too? I flattened myself as best I could, trying to become one with the tabletop in hopes that nobody could see me. Sadly, I knew my chubbiness would render my attempts at invisibility futile.
Then I realized that I wasn't in danger. I was the danger.
You get the idea, Chloe. Start with a scene that's fun to read, and then transition to a discussion of your theme.
Then connect that theme to a strength that will help you succeed in college. Explain that facing and overcoming obstacles made you more aware of the complexity of identity formation.
And you realized that there's often a big gap between a person's perceived and actual identities. Good luck, Chloe. Next, we have Clouseau.
My mum was feral, so I'd like to write about her.
Well, you can mention her. But the essay has to be about you, not her. So don't devote more than a couple full sentences to her story.
Okay, I guess I have to go think about it some more. Thanks.
Next, we have Calvin.
The others call me Leader Calvin because I have good ideas. I want to write about my leadership.
You don't sound old enough for college. But tell me, how are you a leader?
I think my drive for leadership started when I was a kitten. I found myself alone in a neighborhood without my parents. I didn't know what to do, so I wandered around until I found a house that felt right. During that time, I met other cats, but they just ignored me or were rude to me.
Let me guess. That experience made you want to become someone who would take charge and organize others, without excluding anyone.
Right. Inclusive leadership. After I moved into the house, I became a leader who listens, thinks carefully, leads by example, and helps others shine. I believe that gaining respect through collaboration is more important than giving orders.
You're on the right track, but don't actually write what you just said. Show us how you have been a leader. Don't tell us. It's always better to be specific. If you just make general statements, it's not even believable.
Don't write sentence after sentence about how you understand the theory of leadership or the importance of inclusivity. Give us detailed, specific examples of what you actually did.
Specific statements and explanations are always better than general statements that sound good. Also, AI is excellent at writing general statements about shared spaces and creative collaboration, leading to nuanced and negotiated outcomes that elevate everyone. It just sounds like empty nonsense. Don't write sentences like that.
Next, we have Lionel. How can we help?
I'm low-key pretty lazy, and it's been really hard for me to lock in and get this essay done, so I'll just use ChatGPT and I think it's fine, right?
No. People who read essays all day can spot AI writing immediately. Also, if you have B's and C's in English classes and less than a 700 on your SAT English exam, it won't make sense that you can produce a perfectly written essay with trendy vocabulary that sounds like it was written by a graduate student in Yale's English department.
Got that, Lionel? Don't use AI?
Okay, so what do I write about? I'm basically a lazy bad boy.
Maybe don't go to college. Just get a job. Up next, we have Claude.
Everybody calls me Claude, but my real name given to me by my mother is which nobody can pronounce correctly. I want to write about this.
Stop. This topic is overused. I've read some beautiful essays about it, but there are just too many of them. I know that first-generation students like to express their struggles with feeling like they don't fit into either their parents' culture or their American classmates' culture, but talking about how your teachers couldn't pronounce your name is not the best way to deal with this topic.
Why not? It really leaves me feeling disrespected and isolated when nobody can pronounce my name.
Just realize that the exact same story is being written by Korean Americans, Chinese Americans, Nigerian Americans, Vietnamese Americans, and the list goes on. Actually, I'm starting to have more sympathy with the teachers than these students. I'd like to see these students pronounce a list of 10 names from all over the world. I promise you, they wouldn't do any better than their teachers do.
And if you do write about this topic, please don't turn it into an accusation of racism or cultural insensitivity. Your teacher would fail at pronouncing a Scandinavian, Welsh, or Irish name just as badly, so it's clearly not racism. Claude, pick another topic. Next, we have Tigra.
I was born outside and then ended up in a cage in the shelter for 3.5 months. People were kind to me, but I was in a cage. I knew I shouldn't be in a cage.
You could start the essay with this story, but you need to move past it quickly. You don't want very much of the essay to focus on kittenhood. Why do you want to go to college?
I want to study political science. President Trump and his team have successfully reduced the number of animals in cages for torture. But since it's Trump who's doing it, the Democrats who used to be our friends are against it because they hate Trump.
Stop. Don't take sides in the Democrat-Republican war. Don't mention politicians' names. You can refer to the devastating impact of partisan politics, but don't take sides.
Okay, Tigra, no politics. We have time for one more caller. Athena.
I'm Costa Rican by birth. My person found me in a box by the road when I was just a baby. She raised me in a language institute where people spoke both English and Spanish. Some of the English speakers were from England, and I liked their accent. Now I'm a Costa Rican American with a British accent.
How interesting. What do you want to study?
Philosophy. I've always been a deep thinker. But I'm also an exceptional athlete. I plan to play a sport in college. Should I write about that?
It's usually better to write an essay that shows the admissions team that you are ready to succeed in your classes. You could mention your sports experiences in a supplemental essay. I think that in your case you could connect your experience growing up between two cultures to your interest in philosophy. Sports might fit in there somewhere, but don't make it the focus.
So, Let's recap important points. First, be specific.
Don't complain, don't write about your name, and don't write about mental health struggles.
Show your strengths and help the reader understand that you will definitely succeed in college. Show your motivation and preparation.
Please don't use AI.
Be funny if it's appropriate to your theme.
Don't sound too self-absorbed. Show an interest in connecting with others or contributing to society in some way.
Do you think our callers have a good chance of being accepted?
No, not at all. I mean, they're cats.
Well, we're out of time. Thanks for watching, and good luck.